See, so when they say that, and understand that at the same time, we done already lost $74 million taken from us to start the railroads. We have no railroads.
Right.
That's what they took the Freedmen money from.
Wow.
We have no railroad.
Heard of the Freedmen's Savings Bank? Probably not. But back in 1865, right after the Civil War, it was supposed to be a game changer for Black Americans. A safe place for newly freed people to save money and build their future. Sounds good, right? Well, not exactly. Black families and veterans deposited over $57 million, believing it was secure. But the bank's white managers misused the funds. Bad investments, shady deals, straight-up fraud. By 1874, it collapsed. Just like that, thousands lost everything. No government bailout, no accountability. Frederick Douglass, who stepped in too late to save it, called it the black man's last great hope. Instead, it became a painful lesson. Economic freedom isn't just about earning, it's about having the power to protect what's yours.
Even though the brother invented the third world with the electricity, we have no electricity. We have no Pacific company. You see what I'm saying?
The inventions they weren't allowed to claim because the government offices of copyright and patent registration, they couldn't do so because they weren't considered citizens. So the person who was able to take control of the copyright and or patent or trademark was the owner, or whites.
Not to only understand.
Inventions have fueled progress, transforming societies and shaping the world as we know it. However, not all stories of innovation have been treated equally. There's a side of history that often goes untold, a side where inventions created by black minds were unfairly stolen, suppressed, or overshadowed by an environment fueled by hatred, racism, and inequality. This wasn't just about stealing ideas. It was an attempt to rewrite history and undermine the incredible contributions of black individuals. The patent system, designed to safeguard the rights of inventors, frequently worked against black creators. Discrimination ran rampant, with many black inventors being denied patents or having their contributions stolen. This unequal treatment further perpetuated the cycle of stolen recognition and opportunities. Moreover, a lack of education due to systemic racism made the journey even tougher for black innovators. Access to resources, funding, and opportunities were often denied or disproportionately limited, stifling the potential for groundbreaking creations to emerge from within the black community. But today we shed light on these stories, celebrating the resilience and brilliance of black inventors whose creations have shaped our world.
Before we was given our citizenship, they recruited them from Europe as with intents to be citizens, and then they passed the Homestead Act and gave people with intent to be citizens, right?
Right.
They allowed them to capture land.
Yes.
So 1866, right after our emancipation, they passed what is called vagrant laws. After you then gave the land away to whites, forcing us to go back to be what you call sharecroppers, right? To work that land. Understand, we have to first understand that each state sent a letter of concession to the Union. Each of those southern states' justification for leaving the Union was for their fight for their rights to own black people to do the labor that they said that they could not do.
Right.
They actually said it.
Yes, they did. It's in their own constitution. They actually redrafted a whole new constitution, and they took out keywords and included other keywords, and they were specific and explicit about why they were succeeding and why they felt the need to succeed. The contrary to what people would like to believe, saying that that is not the reason, even though they said it out of their own mouth and they documented what they meant, what they said out of their own mouth.
They specifically said that no one else could work this land but the Negro.
When they passed the ordinance of secession, it's clear that the only thing that created secession was the issue of slavery, the protection of the slave system.
Mississippi. A declaration of the immediate causes which induce and justify the secession of the state of Mississippi from the federal union. In the momentous step which our state has taken of dissolving its connection with the government of which we so long formed a part, It is but just that we should declare the prominent reasons which have induced our course. Our position is thoroughly identified with the institution of slavery, the greatest material interest of the world. Its labor supplies the product which constitutes by far the largest and most important portions of commerce of the earth. These products are peculiar to the climate verging on the tropical regions, and by an imperious law of nature, none but the black race can bear exposure to the tropical sun.
So I need us to understand that the Civil War was a transfer of us from private ownership to public ownership. This is where you get the prison leasing. This is where you get the recruitment of the Irishmen over here to police us.
Using slave patrols
to
also track down the slaves. That
See, when Irish said they was treated like us, that's not true. The reason they was treated different than us, it was religious war.
Okay.
It's completely different. We initially was treated and done due to religious purposes. But that's going back to them issuing the Pope's bull on the black Muslims and Jews in Spain. So that was the original justification for our enslavement. That was issued in 1455.
Wow.
That's when England was part of the Roman Catholic. Well, England was with the Roman Catholic Church. But what ended up
Romanus Pontifex, Latin for the Roman Pontiff, is a papal bull written in 1454 by Pope Nicholas V to King Afonso V of Portugal. As a follow-up to the Dum Diversus, it confirmed to the Crown of Portugal dominion over all lands south of Cape Bojador in Africa, along with encouraging the seizure of the lands of Saracen Turks and non-Christians. It repeated the earlier bull's permission for the enslavement of such peoples.
happening is when they splintered from England splintered from the Roman Catholic Church, the Irish stayed with the Roman Catholic Church, but they were supposed to be under the English monarchy.
Gotcha.
Right? And so when they broke off, the way it goes is whoever is ruling, whoever's the head of the Church of England is the king.
Right.
Because they was ordained and governed to rule initially by the Pope.
So it's all interrelated.
All interrelated. So so that's why they was treated different. So they come here and try to make it like it was, oh, we was treated bad, there ain't no race issue. No. That was a power issue because they used religion as a means for power. Right. This is why they was opposed to having a Catholic president, because they didn't want to be ruled by the Pope.
Got it.
That's totally different.
Right.
But they English using their oppression on the Irish, right? When you oppress a person, that's why you read 40 Laws of Power, and it says, if you don't have enemies, make enemies. And they will prove themselves harder, right, to prove your loyalty more than a friend or foe, or than a friend who feels like they have a certain amount of trust and can get away with other things.
Gotcha.
So that's the process of bringing the Irish over here.
And that's still the foundational relationship of the whole immigration
process. Still that process.
It's still all related.
It's still all that process. So I just want us to understand from that point and up to the only reason why they stopped recruiting them in is the war.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? 1913, they kicked off World War. They kicked off World War One.
Right.
So that's, and another thing that happened in 1913, I'm gonna end off with that for right now, is that they created the Federal Reserve.
Yes, I'm familiar with that, but most of your viewers are not. And I know that's a subject that's one of your passions because they deal with finances, business finances, and economics. And on that note,
Yeah.
I look ardently forward to continue this discussion, starting with that, because I know that's one of your passions. We spoke a lot about that before when we did the interviews, and the knowledge is profound. You expanded my head, and you encouraged me to go back and do more research than I had already done. And I'm certain if you did it for me, I'm more than positive you did it for a lot of the viewers that listen to your content and appreciate the time and the effort and patience that you use to provide this content to make sure you get it out there. And as you said, education is the key. So you're a shining example of why education is important. So you can't be easily misled
Information.
and continue to be hoodwinked into believing anything that's been said to you.
I want us to understand this. Education is options.
Yes.
The more informed you are, the more options you have.
I totally agree.
The more abilities you have to address issues that's confronted with you, the more you have the ability to hurdle obstacles in front of you. That all comes with information, knowledge. But I want to just say, how I learned, and I know I mixed a lot of different things in together, is because I'm dyslexic, and being dyslexic, I don't learn in a certain linear way. I have to see things in perspective. And I'm going to say this because if you're dyslexic, then you understand the issue with dyslexic is that you see words in reverse, numbers in reverse, and how they're able to identify you as being dyslexic is because your comprehension. The reason why you have that comprehension, even without knowing, you read the whole subject, the whole title, or the whole sentence in order to get the full picture of that word that you misconstrued.
Right.
So knowing this factor, when I go into a subject, how I go into looking at it, I try to see the whole broader perspective. So when I study a subject, I try to put it in context of the environment and how it trickles down to current day, so that we can become proactive instead of reactive. Right?
Right.
That is why politics have not been beneficial to us as a people. It's because we lack having our own agenda and our own clarification of our own condition.
Wow. That's profound, but it's so accurate. It is so accurate. On that note, Mr. Hanford, I appreciate you taking the time to speak with me, and I appreciate you allowing me to interview you and start interviewing you again, and I look forward to next week's session.